Hi. Today we are going to learn about advertising and how it supports various mass media industries. So let's start by asking us this question: what is advertising? I think we can interpret this in many ways, and just to kind of give you an idea that basically, right from the time you wake up till the time you go to sleep, you are bombarded with various advertisements and brands. According to a recent study done by Media Dynamics, they have found out on a daily basis we are exposed to more than 5,000 different ads and brands. But in particularly, they're talking about advertisements, they have actually kind of given a number for that. So according to their study, they found out on average person, they are on an average person are exposed to close to 362 ads on any given day in the United States. You might think that is a big number, but that is the number I think they have found out that we are exposed to in terms of the number of ads on any given day. And also there are instances like the ability to recall certain ad and stuff like that. But let's not go into the details. So just kind of give you an understanding that we are actually living in a very advertisement oriented society, and the aim of this particular presentation is to kind of give you an understanding of how advertising and the mass media are interconnected, and how they are kind of sustaining each other. So let's get started. So to define advertising is nothing but any paid form of non-personal presentation and promotion of ideas, goods, or services by an identified sponsor. I think the two important things that you need to keep in mind with regard to advertising is the paid form. I think that is what is key in terms of advertising. Oh, money is a very important criteria to kind of get their message out to the public. And this is not something that you think, oh, it's because of mass media advertisement has been like popular and all that. It has been kind of researched and documented that advertising has been in existence for several thousands of years. To put things in perspective, I think this is probably one of the oldest forms of advertising, the human billboard. I think you would have seen it in many times during the course of your life in certain occasions on certain stores. People will be pretty much holding this banner and asking them to please come in and buy this product and stuff like this. So this is probably one of the oldest forms of advertising still being practiced in many parts of the world, even in United States. This is very common in underdeveloped countries where they try to use the manpower to promote their products, but this is still being even followed in the United States. This is one of the oldest forms of advertising still being practiced, but there are instances where you can even find this is actually a photograph from New York City where many of the restaurants they'll have some people standing outside and convincing the customers to come inside, because New York is known for a lot of floating population, and people are actually trying to kind of promote the restaurants, and instead of making them randomly come inside, they actually have people standing outside the restaurant and convincing people like please come inside. They give some samples and ask them to taste, and these are some of the ways people actually convince them to come inside. Again, this is again one form of advertisement that uses human as kind of a promoting agency in terms of getting the word out. And also there are instances where people have found out that advertisement has been in existence even in the Roman days. This is a photograph from Pompeii where they've actually used red graffiti to kind of promote their work. So advertisement has been ingrained in our culture from time immemorial. And again, this is again a photograph from Salzburg, Austria. This is considered to be the gateway for Europe in the early days, and you can see all the metal gravings and all those stuffs, designs, just to kind of give the people an idea of what the shop is all about, and I mean, convincing them to come inside and visit their shops. So again, this is again an instance how people are trying to get the people's attention to come and buy from their shop or buy their products. Again, this I thought is a cool thing because even though it's kind of old, but still they're trying to kind of use McDonald's and stuff like that. I thought that was something nice that I can share with you. How the old and new try to kind of adapt itself. So anyway, let's get started. I think the first printed advertisement has been credited to this particular slide, which is actually an advertisement printed by William Caxton in 1477. So in the 15th century, I think that was the time when Gutenberg was coming up with this printing press innovation, and how people started using printing to kind of get the word out to the people. And this has been recognized to be the first printed advertisement, and it was in 1477 by William Caxton. In terms of the newspapers, I think the first advertisement that ever was appeared in a newspaper in the United States was the Boston Newsletter in 1704. Again, this again was an example of how advertisement has been there right from the first newspaper. Yes, advertisement has been there for quite some time, but with regard to mass media, with regard to newspaper, it started with the first newspaper, which was the Boston Newsletter. And after that, a lot of people actually used even for promoting their magazines. And Benjamin Franklin was actually known for actually promoting advertisements in his newspapers and his magazines. And he had published in his Pennsylvania Gazette as well, which was in 1735. And the one of the earliest pioneers of advertisements and magazine collaboration was Cyrus Curtis, where he openly said that advertisement was the backbone for the magazine business, and he was very successful as well. So he is one of the earliest pioneers to understand the commercialization of mass media was key for profits. And this was again a kind of an eye opener for many entrepreneurs or many people in the future to kind of use Cyrus Curtis' idea of incorporating advertisement for publishing their materials. And what happened was invariably, when you have money as the main motive, when profit is the main motive, everything else takes a backseat. So this is a classic example of how people kind of, they didn't care about the content; they just wanted to get the word out. See here, this particular ad, which is like Pratt's healing ointment, where both man and beast can use and stuff like this. So this actually helped in developing a conversation about the content in advertisement and the need to regulate. Even though this was in the 1880s, but still it actually helped in kind of creating a space to discuss about the elements that is being incorporated in the advertisements. And again, it took actually several years for the government to step in and regulate the ad industry. And as you all know, it was the FTC which was established in 1914, where they wanted to make sure to kind of monitor deceptive ads where they're trying to kind of say something which is not really possible, and just to kind of promote the product. So again, getting back, again, a lot of books also thought it is also important to kind of promote books. But again, Encyclopedia Britannica was used all this kind of advertisements and all that to impart the feeling that knowledge is very important and you have to buy books and stuff like that. So again, even books also try to kind of promote itself. In that way, people will be able to buy more books and understand the importance of enriching their knowledge. So it was newspapers and books and magazines. Everybody understood the importance of advertisement and what it means for them to boost their profits as well. And I think radio was the kind of a forerunner for kind of actually making big money with regard to advertising. Yes, advertising was all about money, people made money, but radio showed the potential that it can read a wide audience, and also there is a lot of possibilities of making money. As we all discussed in the class, WEAF, the radio station in New York, was the first commercial radio station to introduce commercials in their broadcast. And again, a lot of big companies, they actually sponsored programs. It was like many dramas and many programs, many concerts. They completely sponsored the programs and try to place their ad as much as possible. For instance, I think the some commercials like Raleigh cigarettes and stuff like that. If they are trying to promote the concept, they will try to squeeze in as much as product placement in the program, so that people will be talking about their product in some way. It used to be called like Colgate Comedy Hour and a lot of other stuff. And I think this is a very important year where radio collected more money in advertisement than magazines. So first it was newspapers, then it was magazines, and then it was radio, which saw the potential for making money through advertising. And yes, FTC was established in 1914. It is basically established just to monitor deceptive advertising. I mean, even right now, we see a lot of people saying like, "Oh, you can lose 10 pounds in 10 days" and stuff like that. I mean, seriously, technically, it's scientifically, it's not advisable to lose more than pound per week. But if someone is trying to kind of say this kind of illogical stuff, and people still fall for that. For instance, there is an app which promotes like you can lose like 10 pounds in 10 weeks, sorry, 10 pounds in 10 days. And there are like millions of people who have downloaded the app thinking, oh, it's going to work. But again, it's just not about that app alone. Losing weight is just not about losing weight over time. Again, there are some instances where something called the biggest losers, they can lose weight, yes, but they will gain back immediately after some point of time. So again, the point is, everything needs, you need to be consistent in what you're doing. And if you're going to incorporate any dietary changes or any weight loss behavior, it has to be consistent. That is there, that should be there for your rest of your life. So yes, FTC is in place to monitor all the deceptive ads. And again, there are many organizations where they also make sure the people are not taken for granted. And then FDA was in place in 1906, and basically the job is to kind of make sure the labeling and the ingredients are there and people are not misled by what is there on the packaging and stuff like that. And in 2013, I think they also stepped in and actually gave some guidelines for mobile apps to follow instructions as well. And the FCC is in place from 1934. They actually regulate interstate communications by radio, television, cable, satellite, and everything within the United States. Again, they also make sure the content is not offending anybody, or it is not being deceptive and stuff like that. So again, FTC and FCC and FDA are in place just to ensure that the people are not misled or are not given misinformation. So coming back to the next step, where the advertisement wanted to kind of get into television, I think that was a major milestone. Again, when advertisements, still the radio was only way of just explain about the product. But given the fact with the visual element, such as television, it was a great boon for advertisements and companies to kind of complement their idea along with visuals. I think that's what gave television a big breakthrough. And these numbers pretty much explains for itself that in 1949 the television ads was about $12.3 million, but in 1951, within 2 years, it went up by more than like 6 times. I'm not even more than almost like 10 times. So that is the power of television. And as of now it is about like $79 billion just for television ads. And that's what it is. You need to all to keep in mind that of all the mass media, whether it's print, television, print, newspaper, magazines, or radio, television has got a great potential, and it's considered to be advertisers paradise because of its ability to reach wider audience, and the visual element where people are kind of glued to that. I think that's what gives television this edge. And that's is supposed to be a kind of a great boon for advertisers. Again, this is just an ad. I think I just thought of sharing this with you, just how this watch company is trying to promote itself.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to you. This is John Cameron Swayze for Timex Watches. I don't have the world on a string, but tonight we do have an exciting new live demonstration of the superior waterproof and shock-resistant qualities of Timex watches, for which we will use a handsome Timex Marlin, with the slim, smart-looking lines you ordinarily find in the most expensive watches. Yet the Timex Marlin is priced as low as
So actually, Timeless
$9.95.
was actually sponsoring a
Now we have
program,
attached
and
a
you have this
Timex
guy
Marlin to the
explaining in
arrowhead,
detail
and we're
about this
going to
watch.
ask Bill Brining to give us a demonstration. Bill, will you shoot this arrow through that pane of glass right there? Try. Good. I'm sure you'll agree with me, ladies and gentlemen, if that Timex comes through this live torture
See,
test,
you
it can
have a
stand up to just
Timex
about anything that may
watch
happen to it
company.
in daily
We
work.
have this guy
Billy
constantly talk
Olfett,
about Timex. We have also a
anytime.
board where the written Timex. So how they actually kind of
I
making
don't know what I
people
can
talk
say to
about
add to
this.
that.
And
Bill
this is
is going
just
to
not
retrieve
an
that
ad,
arrow
because
with the
back in those
Timex bill
days
fixed
this
to
ad
the
was a kind of
arrowhead
a water
from the
cooler talk.
water. Thank you very much, Bill. Thank you.
So
Now let's see how it
this
took
is
this torture
how
test. Yes,
earlier
it's still running
advertisers
perfectly. And if I
used to reach about their product to the masses. And again, this is just a kind of a basic idea. There is a 60-second spot, 30-second spot, and 15-second spot, even 10-second spot. And there is something called infomercial. I think if you watch movie late in the night where they have like 30 minutes on some like coolers or some weird stuff. And again, you won't know whether it's an advertisement or it's a program, because people will be talking about it forever. So this is just to kind of give you an understanding how television is got a winning edge with regard to advertisements when you compare it with other mass media. So moving on to the web and online and the internet, advertisement again is gaining a lot of momentum with regard to the internet and World Wide Web. Even though you and me know we hardly pay any attention to this, but the internet advertisement is a growing field, and billions of dollars are being pumped every year to reach out to their potential target audiences. And this is called a banner ad, where any ad that stretches from left to right over a website is called a banner advertisement. And again, there is some term called click through rate. It is the rate what people, when they see an ad and they click through that particular ad to kind of know more about it. And they say the click through rate for internet ad is 1% or even less than that. Tell me honestly, you and me, I think I have never ever clicked at any internet advertisement. I think I might have. It's because I would have clicked it accidentally. There is no way people will click through some advertisements to know more about that. So yes, there is still being negotiated, being debated to kind of get the best possible reach in terms of using internet and advertising. For instance, you and I mean me, we use YouTube, where we are actually forced to see through a 10-second ad or a 20-second ad or a 30-second ad to get to watch what we want. So there are something like pop-up ads and stuff like that. So they are trying the ways to kind of reach to their audiences, but it's still very much in kind of experimentation. So they haven't found a kind of a great way to reach the mobile online audiences, but there are a lot of ways where they're trying to kind of showcase or highlight the importance of the product to the online audiences. So as you can see, there are a lot of ways where the advertisers are trying to reach the people through the various mass media, starting from newspaper to the internet. So one of the key thing for all of us to remember is consumers pay for the advertisements. Maybe initially the company is investing in the advertisements and all that, but at the end of the day, it's the consumer who actually pay for it. For instance, just to kind of put things in perspective, the cost of making a shoe is about like $20 to $25, but it depends upon the brand. If it's Nike, it's $100. If it's some random brand, it's like $45 or $50. So the point is, actually Nike is just the same shoe like a $35 or a $40 shoe, but just because the brand, just because for the advertisements, it's invariably has to feed in to the consumer. So at the end of the day, it is you who are actually paying for the advertisements. And again, this is something that we don't actually give much thought about, but this is the truth. Advertisements are nothing but, at the end of the day, consumers pay for it. So they just add up all the advertisement expenses, all the expenses to the product, and they sell it. That's it. That's what makes a difference. I think one of my friend was telling, if you take the detergent, the laundry detergent, pretty much everything has got the same formula. I mean, the same ingredients, everything, but it depends upon the brand. They kind of the price varies. So, and again, another important thing to remember is advertisement, it feeds consumerism. People buy things just because they saw an ad. So that's a sad situation, but at the same time, it is what that runs most of the mass media industries. And of all the mass media, television is pretty much the advertiser's paradise. Well, that's it for today. We will meet soon. Ciao.